Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, or indeed if you are new to the channel, welcome along. My name is Andy, the Uncommentator, and this is part 2 of this 2-video mini-series where I am booking a WWE World Cup. So I'm not going to go over part 1. If you haven't seen part 1 and you're watching this, I would recommend going and watching that first before carrying on with this. But basically, I'm booking a WWE World Cup in the style, very similar style to how the FIFA Soccer World Cup is going on in real life. At time of recording this, it is the 11th of July, so the actual Football World Cup, soccer, whatever you want to call it, is halfway through the quarterfinal stages. So in this video, we're going to be finishing off the tournament. So in the last video, I went through the rules, how it was going to work, explained everything, etc., etc. So I'm not going to go over that again. And we ended the video at the start of the knockout round. So these are the brackets after the initial part of the tournament. So you can see here we're down to 16 wrestlers. And by the end of this video, one of these will be crowned world champion. Now, as I said, or the World Cup winner, I should say. Now, as I said, I'm not going to go over the first video. Go and watch it if you haven't watched it already. But what I will say that I didn't say, what I will say in this video that I did say in the first video is I haven't watched WWE since the Raw after WrestleMania. So if I reference anything, any sort of storylines that have since moved on, then that's why, because I haven't watched it for however many months it is now, 3-4 months. And yeah, that's why. If I say something that's no longer relevant, then that's why. But like I said in that last video, given the glacial pace that things change in that company, I can't imagine that too much I'll say will be out of date. I mean, I'd always willing to bet my life that Johnny Gargano's still prostrate on a box every week, but and that I think that starts in October. Anyway, that's not important. What is important is what's going to happen in this video. And as I said, by the end of this video, we will have a World Cup winner. But we won't have it by me just sat here rambling on about Johnny Gargano because he's not in this tournament. We need to get on with it. And we're going to start the last 16. And the opening match of this last 16 pits Bronson Reed, representing Australia, up against Omos, representing Nigeria. And perhaps to little to no surprise here, two heels, irresistible force and immovable objects, but perhaps to no one's surprise, Bronson Reed will just win this match cleanly, and he will advance to the quarterfinals. Next up, we've got Roman Reigns versus J.D. McDonough. Now, in this match, again, a bit of a callback to the group stage, if you haven't watched the first video. The Judgment Day come out. They think about interfering, so Dom, Liv, whoever it is, they think about interfering. Roman Reigns just kind of gives them a death stare. They sort of freeze on the entrance ramp. I was meant to say the aisle. That's the word I was trying to think of. Roman hits the spear and he pins J.D. McDonough. And the backstage, JD's a bit annoyed. So, what the hell was that? Why didn't you help me? And then Dom sort of reassuring is like, well, I'm still in it. That's all that matters. As long as one of us wins, that we all win. That's what we say, isn't it? When obviously Dom's only looking out for himself. But JD not happy that Roman, that he didn't get any help there against Roman, but Dom reassures him, well, as long as one of us wins, that's all that matters. On to the next match, and it is Cody Rhodes versus Shinsuke Nakamura. So these two hopefully have a good match, and again, perhaps no one's surprised, Cody ends up winning, but after the match, they do a little too sweet for the nerds, and again, during the match, calling back to what we discussed in the last video, Cody Rhodes hopefully gets a few boos again. It's a babyface versus babyface. I think everyone can kind of see where this is going, so maybe people turn him a little bit, despite the fact that this is in America and he's representing America. But we'll pretend that storyline is developing. Next up, we've got the former Judgment Day member Carlito against the current Judgment Day member Dominic Mysterio. Now, in this match, Carlito, they walk to the ring. They look like they're gonna square off against each other. Dominic finger pokes Carlito in the chest. He goes down like he's been shot, and then Dominic just pins at Carlito. So Carlito basically, obviously, allows Dominic to go through, and it was all that the commentator bash you over the head because they don't do subtle and say, oh, it was all a setup. Carlito going through in the group stage. He did this just so he could let Dominic... Yeah, we know that. We don't need explaining, but that's what happened there. So Dominic advances to the quarterfinals without having to... Well, with just by lifting a finger, you could say. Next up, we've got Obafemi versus Kevin Owens. Probably the tie of the last 16, I would say, here. So Kevin Owens, if you haven't watched the first video, he's tired. I'm not explain why. Go and watch the first video. But he is tired, and that costs him in the end, and Obafemi does overcome Kevin Owens after, hopefully, a good competitive match. Next up, we got Penta versus Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn wins this match. He could cheat, but do a roll-up, whatever. Or Penta goes for something, crashes and burns, and Sami Zayn takes advantage and beats him. But Penta, the first group winner to not advance to the next round, they can make a point of that. CM Punk then up against Talatonga. I nearly called him Tangaloa then, or Hikuleo. It is Talatonga, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. But yeah, CM Punk versus Hikuleo, whatever we're going to call him. And CM Punk wins that match. And then finally, we've got the Banger Bros 1-on-1. For the final time, it's Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. And Drew McIntyre wins that match. So that's the last round of 16 tie. And that leaves the brackets looking like this. So Bronson Reed advances to the quarterfinals to take on Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes advances to take on Dominic Mysterio. Obafemi and Sami Zayn. So Oba's beaten Kevin Owens. Can he then beat Sami Zayn? And then CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre one last time. And that is the quarterfinals, which we're going to move on to now. Starting off with Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns, the rubber match. I think these are one and one in real life. I think Bronson did that Crown Jewel event in Australia, didn't they? Which obviously Bronson won because it's in Australia. So one of my favourite booking things they do wrestling companies do when this is the hometown, or this is the home country of this person, so that we'll book them to win. Like, I get why they do it, don't get me wrong, but it just, as a viewer at home who couldn't care less where it is or where they're from, it just annoys me. Anyway, enough of that. So Bronson Reed, I think did Roman Reigns beat him at SummerSlam, and then Bronson won that Crown Jewel match? I think. Anyway, who cares? So this is the rubber match, if that's in my mind. And Roman Reigns eventually overcomes Bronson Reed. You can have interference if you want from Heyman and whatever, but Roman Reigns wins this match. Next up, we've got America versus Mexico. It's Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio. Now, despite the fact Dominic Mysterio is supposed to be a bad guy or a heel, if we're going to use the insider terms, the crowd generally like him. I'd love the dueling chant for this one. Cody Rhodes, and Dirty Dom. That wouldn't make me want to jab a rusty screwdriver into my ears, but so this is this match, and then before this match starts, Dominic Mysterio cuts a promo. He talks about, if you know anything about the FIFA World Cup, the football one, Mexico never get to the quarterfinals. They sort of get to the round before the quarterfinals, and it's happened again this year. They get to the round before the quarterfinals, and then they get knocked out. So Dominic Mysterio cuts a promo. Hey, you never thought you'd see a Mexican in the quarterfinals of a World Cup, did you? Well, now you can, and I'm a national hero, and you should be thanking me, usual stuff. So he rubs in that Mexico never get to the quarterfinals and says what a hero he is. The match is going on. The Judgment Day interfere this time, so obviously Dom saying, well, as long as one of us wins, it doesn't matter. So Carlito's interfering. One or two other, Liv, whatever, they're all interfering. And then Damian Priest runs in to help Cody Rhodes, again, calling back to the first video if I haven't watched it. Damian Priest runs in, tries to help Cody Rhodes. He gets overmatched. There's too many Judgment Day people. It looks like Dom's going to win. And then Finn Balor's music hits. And again, you need to watch the first video for the significance of that. Finn Balor's music hits. He runs in. He cleans house. And eventually, America overcomes Mexico and Cody Rhodes advances. So, again, hopefully Cody gets a few boos. I expect he will do, and obviously needs help to win, which you could say, even despite the fact he's been overmatched, you could say is fixing it for America, shall we say? But again, we'll not comment on that. So Cody Rhodes advances to the semi-finals. And, we've skipped on a bit too much there. So, Obafemi beats Sami Zayn. That was an anticlimax. But yeah, Obafemi just beats Sami Zayn. So that's the next quarterfinal. And then the final quarterfinal, we'll try to skip on this time. Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. So again, I think this is a rubber match. I could be wrong. I think Drew beat Punk, and then obviously Punk won that great Hell in a Cell match. I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest with you. Anyway, I'm getting old. This is the rubber match in my mind. And of course, CM Punk, again, if you haven't seen the first video, he is more tired than Drew McIntyre is. Go and watch the first video. And that plays into this match. So they have a good match, but CM Punk, it sells the fact he's tired. He's older than Drew McIntyre, so we'll weave that in as well. He's selling the fact he's tired, and eventually he can't overcome Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre advances to the semi-finals, which look like this. So Bronson Reed losing to Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes beating Dominic Mysterio. That leaves us a semi-final of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Or should that be Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes? No, it shouldn't be that. And the other semi-final sees Obafemi taking on Drew McIntyre. Did that one wrong? Don't care. So, on to the semi-finals. Only 3 matches to go. We're not going to have a third place playoff like they do in real life. Spoiler alert. Actually, I wish I'd done that now. I wish I'd booked that on. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll pretend that we'll say that we... Actually, I can't say who wins the third place player because that will spoil the semi-finals. Yeah, move on. Right, so the first semi-final, again, this is a rubber match this time. I hope for a fact it is. So, Cody Rhodes lost to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. He beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. And this is the rubber match to decide who will get to the World Cup final. I forgot what it was called then. And the person who advances to the World Cup final is Cody Rhodes. He beats Roman Reigns. They have a clean match. No interference. They do whatever. Hopefully Cody gets booed. And then after the match, Cody offers a handshake and Roman takes it. Reluctantly, but he does take it. And again, hopefully that might incite more boos. Who knows? But yeah, so Cody beats Roman. He moves on to the World Cup final, where he will take on the winner of this match. It's Obafemi versus Drew McIntyre. And the winner of this match, they have a good match, hopefully. Competitive match. And who do you think? If you said Drew McIntyre, you're wrong. So Obafemi wins this match. He advances to the World Cup final. And the brackets now look like this. Cody Rhodes taking on Obafemi for the World Cup. The Wrestling WWE World Cup. Just a quick one before we go into this final. Why do Americans call the final the finals? Can somebody explain that to me? I get it in basketball because it's a best of 7 series. So there's more than one final. So I kind of get that. But why in sports, when it's a one-off match, why do you call it the finals? If somebody could let me know, that'd be great. And I'm not making fun. I genuinely just find it a bit... I don't understand. Why is it pluralised when it's a one-off match? I don't know. But anyway, for those of you that buy into that, tie into that, whatever you want to call it, we are going to call it the World Cup Finals. And it is Cody Rhodes versus Obafemi. Now, again, I keep mentioning about Cody being booed, so I've intentionally because I'm so brilliantly clever at booking, I've intentionally booked him against a lot of baby faces. So hopefully people will be sort of turning on him, thinking, oh, here we go again, Cody's just going to win. And of course, these two had a match at Saturday night's main event, I think, which Cody Rhodes won. I think that was Obafemi's main roster debut in terms of in-ring competitive match when he was still NXT champion. I think, was that on John Cena's last match? I honestly can't remember. I've never watched the Saturday... Since they brought it back, I've never watched the Saturday night's main event, so I genuinely can't remember. But anyway, as the hiccups kick in, we kick off this final, and it's Cody Rhodes and Obafemi. They have a long match. Cody gets booed. They think he's going to win, but in the end, it's Obafemi. So Obafemi beats Cody Rhodes clean. He becomes world champion, well, World Cup winner, not world champion. He wins the World Cup, and then after the match, they do have a handshake. And you think Cody, and again with the booing thing, you think Cody starts playing up to it. I should have said this before I revealed the winner, but Cody plays up to it, And you think he's going to do something. He's going to turn, basically, because the crowd have turned on him throughout this tournament. You think he's going to turn, but he doesn't. And they do shake hands, and he raises Oba's hand. He walks off, and Oba is declared world champion, or World Cup winner, I should say. So Obafemi wins the WWE World Cup. If we would have a third place playoff, which we should have done really, I would have had Roman beat Drew, because why not? Yeah, why not? I don't know. Could have been fun. Actually, maybe Drew could have won. Actually, no, yeah, we'll have Drew win. Yeah, we'll have Drew win, actually. Scrap that. Edit that out. Yeah, maybe Drew win. I don't know. Somebody interferes and Drew wins. And it kicks off a feud somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, I think we'll have Drew winning the third place match. So you can say, well, I didn't win the title off you at Clash in the Castle, but, you know, I bet you in a third place playoff. That's good enough for me. So Obafemi is World Cup winner. And just to prove it, there we go. And if my YouTube career doesn't take off, I've got a career in graphic design right there waiting for me. So Obafemi wins the World Cup. And I don't know what he does with it after that. Probably just forgets about it, like the 2-8 trophy or other things that people forget about after they win them. The Crown Jewel Championship. Now, just one last little thing before we wrap this video and indeed this series up. I did mention, again in the first video, so we had 32 wrestlers in this competition, 16 different countries, so 2 wrestlers from each country. And I did speculate, could you do this with 32 different nations? So could you have a wrestler from 32 different nations? And I think you could, but you'd have to sort of pull a few rabbits out of hats and bend a few rules a little bit. However, I think you could. So if I was going to do one wrestler per nation, this is what my World Cup would look like. I'm not going to book the whole thing, don't worry. So Obafemi would still win it, so it'll still go the same way. But this would be These would be the competitors. So from Albania, you could have Reza, who was in Authors of Pain, if anyone remembers those. Bronson Reed, who was in this tournament, obviously. Then you bring in Austria for Gunther, that's an obvious one. Bulgaria for Rusev, another obvious one. We'd have Sami Zayn from Canada. For the Dominican Republic, we could bring back No Way Jose. We've got Kit Wilson from England, Ludwig Kaiser from Germany. Ghana could be represented by Kofi Kingston. Then you've got Guam, which is not sort of a country, but isn't really. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. But JC Mateo, Jeff Cobb, whatever you want to call him, could represent Guam. Who remembers Ezekiel Jackson, the personification of domination? Well, he could represent Guyana. From Holland, Netherlands, we've got Alistair Black. Jinder Mahal from India. Ireland, represented by Sheamus. Israel, despite the fact he's got a Scottish accent, he is part Israeli, so Noam Dar could represent Israel. From Italy, we've got Santino Marella. Obviously, Japan, Nakamura. Mexico, Dominic Mysterio. Nigeria, of course, Obafemi. We bring back Mustafa Ali from TNA so he can represent Pakistan. Joaquin Wilde, despite the fact he was in the Latino World Order, is actually from the Philippines, so he could represent them. Baba Tunde is part Polish, if anyone remembers Baba Tunde. Daba Kato, whatever you want to call him. It was he was in Raw Underground and Apollo Crews' Commander Aziz, was it Commander Aziz, I think it was called. So yeah, whatever to call him. But yeah, he is actually part Polish, so we could have him represent Poland. We've got Damien Priest from Puerto Rico, of course. From Russia, not with love, it is Ilya Dragunov. We've got Roman Reigns from Samoa, obviously. Drew McIntyre from Scotland. Otis is part Serbian, so we could have Otis in this tournament. We bring back Justin Gabriel, or whatever he's called. Is it PJ Black or something he's called when he went to the Indies? I don't know. But he represents South Africa. We've got from Spain, we've got Axiom, of course, that was in this tournament. And then finally, we give Tony Khan a ring and say, can we borrow Claudio, please, just for 6 weeks, or however long he'd be in the tournament. And Tony Khan, because I'm sure he's a wonderful guy, he says yes. And Cesaro, the Swiss Superman, comes back to represent Switzerland. And then, of course, we've got Tonga and the USA with Tama Tonga and Cody Rhodes. And that should say Tala Tonga, I think, should it? No, it is Tama Tonga. Yeah, it is Tama Tonga. Somebody from Tonga represents Tonga. Anyway, something with Tonga in the name. Haku, you can do it. Anyway, that's the end of the World Cup. So, Obafemi wins the World Cup, beating Cody Rhodes in the final. And Nigeria are world champions in some respects, which is interesting because, well, sort of semi-interesting because they're not actually in the Football World Cup. They didn't qualify, despite the fact that Tunisia did. But anyway, that's the end of this series. So, WFME World Champions, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this little concept. Just a bit of fun. Thinking, how could this work? I think it could work. I think it could be fun. You can tell good stories in a tournament. Obviously, the Cody Rhodes getting booed thing, and you have. Again, I don't want to spoil it. If you haven't watched the first video when we do the group stage, go and watch that because there's interesting stories you can tell in the group stage, I think, depending on how the draw goes. But anyway, if you haven't watched the first video and you've now watched this video, I do really, really appreciate it. And because that is the end of this video and indeed the end of the series. So if you have watched both these videos, or indeed just this one, and you enjoyed them, then please head over to the channel. Also give this video a like and a comment if you want to do that. Tell me who you'd have booked to win this World Cup or anything else you would have changed that I booked. But while you're on YouTube, like I said, if you head on over to the channel, The Uncommentator, if you haven't watched the first video, you can go and watch that now. I've also done a couple of other fantasy booking videos where I booked a dreadful WrestleMania and then a dream WrestleMania. So please go and check that out if that sounds like your bag. If you want to see more of my what I'd call traditional content, where I just basically play through old video games, then that is also obviously on the channel. I've got loads of different genres, types of video game on there for you to enjoy. If you do like wrestling, I've played through WWE Crush Hour. I've also played EWR, Extreme Warfare Revenge. If anyone wants to, if anyone likes my booking ideas, wants to go and check those out. If you don't like wrestling, I'm not quite sure how you've made it this far, but if that is the case, there is plenty of other content for you to enjoy, including Pokemon, including a co-op that I did with a good friend of mine where we played through Crash Bash, there's Streets of Rage, there is a game called Game Ground, Aladdin, Star Fox, all sorts of different things on the channel, which all sound like great fun, and you're all going to go and watch them now. But join me next time, we're going to be moving on to something else. I am going to try, if you have a long-term view of this channel, then I really do genuinely appreciate it, but you'll know that I haven't really uploaded consistently for a while now. There has been a few reasons for that, but I am going to try, once something's in my nothing massively serious, but they are significant. Some things in my personal life get sorted. Once that's out the way, I'm going to try and start recording and uploading more frequently again, like I did a few years ago, because I do quite enjoy it, and that's why I do it. So yeah, if you enjoy it, want to be on the journey with me, then please subscribe. I will, like I said, try and be back to more traditional and frequent content in the near future. It may be into next year now, but we'll see. We'll just see what the next few months brings. But yeah, that is the end of the World Cup. Enjoy the real World Cup if you're into that sort of thing. But to get to that point, of me moving on to something else, for now, from me, it is sign out.